All right, the gate was 5.7 million. Attendance was 17,500. It was a sellout. What we did was, it was such a good night. It was a hard night we did performance bonuses for Cormier, Roundtree, Pettis, and Costa. So no fight of the night. We just did 4 performance bonuses. Who's got the first question?
Yeah, pretty, as you said, pretty entertaining night. Ended with an incredible finish. Can you talk about, I guess, your reaction to watching that fight play out, and where do you think DC now ranks all time in the history of UFC?
One of the best of all time. You know, this was the right fight for him, in that if you think about his career, he steps down from heavyweight to go to light heavyweight because his friend is a heavyweight. So he goes to 205, has an incredible career down there, but it has that John Jones thing, you know. And John Jones is, in my opinion, you know, if not one of the greatest of all time. Could be the potential that John Jones had. Who knows what he could have done at heavyweight and everything else. So he's got the shadow of John Jones. Moves back up to heavyweight and knocks out the best heavyweight ever in UFC history in the first round, decisively. I think that what this does is finally gives him the respect that he deserves, and you know, he's a two division champion, and you know, now he's got a big fight ahead of him. You know, a big fight, big payday, and it couldn't happen to a better guy. He's an incredible ambassador for the sport. I said a long time ago, I told Daniel, if you're my champion for the rest of my career, I'll be a very happy man. He's a great analyst. He does a great job on television. I just can't say enough good things about the guy. I'm really happy for him.
I mean, just to get it clear on the record, it seems obvious the Lesnar fight is next for him. You can say that for a fact that is the fight that's being booked.
Yeah, we're definitely going to make that fight. So Lesnar hit me up a couple days ago and says, sorry I went dark on you, but I had some stuff I had to take care of, and I'm going to come to the fight this weekend. Okay. See you Saturday. You know, he came here tonight, he was all fired up, if you could tell. I mean, right when he got into my seat on the side, he was acting like a lunatic. He was fired up and excited for this fight. His gut told him Stipe, because he felt that Cormier put too much weight on for this fight. He thought it was going to affect him. And it didn't.
The second half of the year calendar was announced tonight. Is there a date on that calendar that makes sense for this fight?
I don't know right now. You know, we're still, we had this night tonight. We got July 28th, and then we can really start working on the end of the year stuff. You know, September, October, November, December.
The last thing on this fight, it's not the fun side to talk about, but it's real. I mean, there's USADA issues, right? I mean, there's time away. There's, you know, so has he been testing? Is he going to be kicking some details?
So the process has started. They started the process last week. I don't know where they are in the process, but he's going to pop up on the board here soon, Monday or Tuesday, or I don't know. I don't know where they are in the process. Huh? What do you say?
Yeah, Fighter X wasn't him. There was an anonymous fighter at one point that was listed on the USADA roster.
I have no idea.
And last thing for me, Dan, I know it's only 48 hours ago, but I want to ask you about Max Holloway. In that 48 hours, have you heard anything new, any medical updates?
No. We've been, first of all, that fight falls out, so we're trying to figure out, you know, get Holloway taken care of to make sure, you know, he's okay. Then, you know, Cormier falls at the press conference on his back. He was hurt. He hurt his leg. He had to go home. It swelled up. He had to ice it, you know. So he iced his leg, and he called me maybe about midnight, 1 in the morning, and said, "I'm okay. I feel good. I iced my leg, and I think I'm going to be okay." I was worried about his back, because during this camp he threw his back out. Yeah, during this camp he threw his back out and actually didn't train for a minute, and I think that's probably why he put the weight on too. But I'm just speculating. You're going to ask him those questions. But yeah, so I was more worried. Think about this, guys. Seriously, think about this. So when we're going, forget the abomination of the heavyweight fight that happened. I mean, the card was so good, you just, yeah, all right, we had one bad fight. What are you going to do? But when you look at this card, right, and the fights are all, going, Pettis looks better than he's looked. It looked like when he was a champion, that's how he looked tonight. The Felder Perry fight is a war. Those guys are standing toe to toe, bleeding all over the place, going at it. Roundtree has the unbelievable knockout. The Costa fight is unbelievable. And now imagine we're going to these fights, and imagine if the co-main event had stayed in there, because that co-main event would have been ridiculous. And then the main event, I was sitting there seriously going, this might have been the most epic card that we've ever done. And it's hard to say that because we've had so many great cards, but yeah, it was a good night. It was a good night. I'm happy it's behind me. Ready to move on to July 28th. But good night, really good night.
Dan, right here.
Yes.
So you were in the cage, obviously, with Brock, and you mentioned that he was excited after when he was sitting next to you. What did you think of kind of Brock's theatrics? I mean, we've seen Brock and DC on a card before. They have, there is some sort of relationship there. What did you think about that?
So they've known each other a long time in the whole wrestling thing, and they talk a lot of shit to each other about wrestling and who would have won in wrestling and who would have done this and that. I know you can ask Cormier about it, but there is a thing with those two. Who would win. And now they're going to find out.
What did you say to him when he pushes, when he pushes DC? What were you saying to him in the cage?
I said, calm down, relax, stop. We get it. There's going to be a fight. Calm down. Yeah, they were both fighting. See DC push me up against the cage? And I'm too old for this shit. You can't be doing that to me. And they were all fired up. Everybody in there was crazy. Then Cormier's little guy starts running over, pushing Brock, and I'm like, this is about to turn into a shit show that the commission is not going to like. So I just tried to get everybody to chill out.
Awesome. Last question. Paulo Costa, you mentioned he won a performance bonus tonight. What do you think about his performance? And they released the schedule. You're going to Brazil in September. Is he someone that you could headline a card with in Brazil?
Yeah, I think that kid is the next big Brazilian star. He's on his way. Good looking, incredible physique, and fights like an animal. And I was also impressed with Uriah Hall. Uriah Hall went out there. Now, the guy that I thought Uriah Hall was going to be at the end of the Ultimate Fighter was the guy that I saw fight tonight. That was the guy that I expected him to be after the Ultimate Fighter. He fought an incredible fight tonight. He was in his face. He was, every time he'd get hit, he'd punch back with 2 or 3 punches, kicks. And it was awesome. Great fight.
Dana, right here. Obviously a tough result for Stipe, but you mentioned that, his accomplishments. How would you best encapsulate his last 2.5 years about and what he's done for the heavyweight division?
Yeah, what he's done has been unbelievable. He broke the record. And in this fight, when that fight started, these guys went right at each other. They stood in each other's face. Both guys kept pressing forward. Nobody was running, staying away. These guys went in and went toe to toe. Both getting hit with big shots. And it was all, when you want to see a great heavyweight championship fight with what was on the line for both guys tonight, you couldn't have wrote it any better than how they fought. Both of them fought an incredible. I thought that fight was great.
What about his 2.5-year run he did?
Stipe's 2.5 years, yeah, awesome. And Stipe's not done yet. Stipe's one of the best in the world, and he'll be back.
Dana, do you feel like going into the fight, it might have been better if you had Stipe won the fight? Just, you look long term. He's going to be around where DC has a date that he's going to retire, and yet we say that before the fight, and now after that epic event, here we're talking about a massive pay-per-view that is going to be one of the biggest you've ever done. The kind of change so quickly was amazing.
Yeah, when we go into fights like this, the old me, over 13 years ago, used to go, oh my God, we need this guy to win, and we need that guy to win. I don't even think like that. None of that stuff even crosses my mind. Because you can't, this sport's so crazy, you don't know who's going to win and who's not going to win. I thought Saki was going to be the next big, I thought he was going to be the next big thing. You don't know. Anything can happen. And one thing that I've learned over the years is however it plays out is the way that it was meant to play out, and then we just go from there.
And I just want to see if you can go into DC a little bit more. What makes him so great? Because you look at him, and you say, you know, he doesn't have a great physique like Costa has, and, you know, he doesn't seem like incredibly quick, and, you know, he's a wrestler, not a boxer maybe, but he seems like he does everything well. Like, can you put your finger on why he is so good?
He's such a unique guy, man, in every way, shape, or form. He's so articulate. He's a really smart guy. I love the way when he's commentating, how he can break down a fight and explain it to you. It's almost like Rogan. He's so good. He's great at interviewing people. Then you talk about him as a fighter, right? Yeah, he definitely doesn't look like a fighter. Looks out of shape, looks heavy, you know. When you think about him going in there now with a heavyweight, if you notice in the beginning of the fight, every shot he landed on Stipe was busting Stipe up, both his eyes, his nose. So he's got a lot more power than he gets credit for. You know, when he goes in against somebody wrestling, the slam that he had on Dan Henderson, to do that to a guy like Dan Henderson, holy shit. You know, and just, he's such a well-rounded, incredible human being. Forget about fighter, he's just, I love Cormier, and I can't say enough good things about him.
I know you don't ever tell people to not retire or whatever. You know, if they want to retire, you say they should retire. But he obviously doing this, you know, is going to be invigorated, right? I mean, do you think there's a chance that, would you think, you know, he may go on beyond his self-imposed deadline given what happened and the way the crowd, you know, he's been booed in the past. The crowd reacted positively to him before the fight. Do you think that may change him and, you know, kind of spark him to, you know, run with that belt for a while?
He's starting, like I said, he's going to start getting the respect he deserves and has deserved for a while now. But when I look at Daniel Cormier's performance tonight at heavyweight, retirement doesn't even come close to popping into my mind.
Hey, Dana, right here, sorry, to your right. Two quick questions. With Brock back in the pool, is that a 5 month or 6 months?
Don't quote me. Nowitzki's the guy to talk to, but I think it's 6 months.
And lastly, was the idea for Brock to be there to challenge whoever won? You know, obviously,
Yeah.
Cormier was the guy, but was the plan for whoever won to?
Yeah, whoever won, he wanted the winner.
Dana, right here. You talked briefly about the COVID event, but can you just thoughts on Francis Ngannou? I mean, he had so much momentum behind him going into the Stipe fight, shows the flaws in his game a little bit, and then comes back and has this fight where he throws, you know, 17 strikes the entire fight, something like that. Where do you feel a guy like that goes from here?
Horrible. You know, I think that, you know, he had a pretty quick rise here, and obviously the fight over Alistair Overeem, you know, catapulted him. You know, everybody was talking about him. I thought he was going to be the next guy. I think his ego ran away with him, big time. I can tell you that his ego absolutely did run away with him. And the minute that happens to you in the fight game, you see what happens. You start to fall apart. I had some personal encounters with him, as did other people in the organization. And this guy's ego just was so out of control. It's like, before the Stipe fight, he took off and went to France. Didn't even really train for that fight. And you see the results. Well, then he comes back and he did train, but I just, ego is what hurt Francis Ngannou.
What about Derek? I mean, he mentioned that his back was giving him some big problems again going in there, and he admitted that he felt that even though he won, his stock ended up dropping. Do you give him any leeway?
I don't agree that his stock dropped. And that's a problem that he's going to have. He's a fun guy. He's funny. He's, you know, when he gets in there and throws, the fights are exciting. But he always has problems with his back. And that is going to be a problem for him, you know, in there with, you know, you don't want to go in there with a bad back with Cormier or, you know, any of these other heavyweights. And, but I like him, and I don't think that his stock drops at all. He won the fight. You know, if you look at his fights, tell me the last time he was in a boring fight. Tonight. Tonight was the last time he was in a boring fight. And like I said, the card was so good tonight, people will forget about that. And the heavyweight championship was so good, it was immediately erased from people's memories.
And I know you don't talk about, you know, matchmaking title shots on the night of the fight.
But you're going to ask me anyway?
Yes.
Okay.
Rafael Assunção, he's 11-1 in the UFC. You know, beat most of these guys in the division. He feels like he should be next for TJ.
Who does?
Rafael Assunção.
Okay.
On the undercard. Do you feel like, you know, being 11-1 in this weight class that he's earned that shot?
Yeah, the thing is that you got to remember about Sunsail. That's easy to say. Hey, this guy's 11-1. Why hasn't he got this? Why hasn't he got that? That guy disappeared for a while. He had some injuries. He was gone for a while. Then he recently just came back and he started fighting him. That guy never loses. That is true. Who beat him? TJ? Yeah. No, he's a stud. Now he's got a little more consistency, and yeah, we'll see what happens.
Mike sort of asked my first two questions, but I am from Calgary, and you mentioned July 28th a couple times, so
I'm excited.
That's a Fox card, not a pay-per-view, but you are really circling that one as sort of the next big one?
Yeah, I'm going. It's my birthday. That's my birthday card. I'm going up and celebrating my birthday in Calgary, and I'm going to that fight. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm excited. I have owed Calgary this event for a long time, and we got a great card, and that city was really good to us. Very, very good to us, because we went up there. We had one of the best cards we'd ever put together, and literally everybody fell off the card more than once. And I said, rest assured, the card will be great. The card sucked, okay? I was wrong, the card sucked. We owe Calgary this one, and I'm excited to get up there and repay everybody.
Dan, it's your right here. What exactly is Brock's deal with WWE? Obviously, he's still part of their roster. How does that factor into this?
He's free and clear to do this fight. Him and Vince have a good relationship, and he's not going to do anything to piss Vince off, and so I don't know the specifics, but he's good.
Have you spoken to Vince at all about this?
I have not.
Do you plan on shooting him a text? I know you guys are texting, but no idea.
No, probably not. These guys are aware. He lets him know what's going on, and he's in the loop.
Brock is coming off the no contest, which got overturned against Hunt. How do you feel like he deserves a title shot in this situation? I know some people probably give you guys some criticism for that.
Yeah, listen, people are going to criticize us no matter what we do. But Brock came in, he popped for that thing, but he beat Mark Hunt, who was one of the top guys. He's a former world champion, and it's a fight that people want to see. And it's definitely a fight that Cormier wants. Cormier wants that fight. And I guarantee if Stipe won, Stipe would have wanted that fight too.
And just for clarification, he does still have about 6 months left on his suspension, so this couldn't really happen until I guess around January.
Right.
Imagine, right?
So maybe I got to talk to Cormier. We haven't talked about any of this stuff yet, but we will. We'll talk this week about the 2 belts. What do you want to do? This and that. Maybe he defends his light heavyweight. Yeah, exactly.
He said he wants to. You let him do that?
He said?
Yeah, well, apparently it's on evidence one since he wants to defend his 205 title before he fights Brock.
There we go. He's the guy I would let do that.
Dan, right here. You mentioned some Saki earlier on. Where does he go from here, considering now he's 1-2 and he's coming off that first round knockout loss?
Yeah, I don't know. I like the kid. He's fun to watch fight. We'll see what's next. I'll get him another fight.
And with DC now heavyweight champions facing Brock next year, does that make the Vulcan Gustafsson fight possibly for an interim title fight if that fight's coming way far down the line?
No, I wouldn't make that an interim fight. The heavyweight champion is ready to go, and he's got to defend his other title. No.
Dana, over to your right front.
Hey.
We didn't get to hear from you after the fight last night. Israel Adesanya put in a spectacular performance to beat Brad Tavares. Just wondered if you could give us your view on his potential in the UFC.
I agree. Incredible. The kid looks great. First fight against a real. I wanted to see how he could defend Brad Tavares' takedowns, and he did a great job. And obviously his striking is phenomenal. I mean, his head movement, his striking, the way he moves, everything. He reminds me of a cross between Anderson Silva and John Jones, the way this guy fights. And it's his first fight breaking into the top 10. And now we'll get him another fight, that will help build a 5-rounder. Looked good for 5 rounds. Looked strong. Never really got tired. So, yeah, I expect big things from that kid.
He said he wanted the winner of the Pablo Costa fight. Is that
what he said?
Costa versus Adesanya.
Damn. that's awesome. I like that he wants that fight. Probably not the fight that's going to happen, but I like that he wants it. Cool.
Just one from me, Dana. You announced the rest of the schedule for 2018 today. Conor McGregor's camp have been saying that you guys are talking to them about this fight with Khabib. In an ideal circumstance, when and where do you want this fight to happen?
You know what? I'm not even thinking about Conor till I'm serious. I know they're saying there's talks. We're not talking about a fight right now. Conor has to get through July. He's got to get through whatever's going to happen to him in July. We'll figure that out. I don't know what's going to happen. Is he going to get fined? Is he going to be on probation? Is he going to get this, that? When that's over with, then we'll